Right here I got the M5 MacBook Air, which I picked this up back in last April to focus on my studies at school, and it's been a very good device for using it at school. And we're here to see if it can game. I mean, it can game, but like how well can it game, you know? The game that I'm playing is Shadow of the Tomb Raider. This game is always used as a performance benchmark, but is never actually played due to its intensive graphics that the hardware can sometimes struggle in. The game is set to medium graphic preset, and we're seeing the average of 54 FPS, meanwhile the max FPS is at 61, and the minimum FPS is at 46. Currently in Slime Ranchers, the settings are set up to all lowest, no anti-aliasing, no v-sync, no everything low. And as you can see, the average FPS is 41 FPS, which is okay at best, max 51, and the minimum is 29 FPS, which if you lock it at 30 FPS, you would have a smooth experience, you know? I mean, this game isn't really that much graphically intensive or anything, although it is very low since in every other platform like Switch, Xbox, PlayStation can run at probably the same resolution with higher details and everything at 60 FPS or better. Now playing Slime Ranchers on GameHub, I'm running everything on medium other than lighting on high and no anti-aliasing. And it's running way much better than it was on the Steam version of Slime Ranchers, which is pretty interesting since it's, you know, native to Mac OS, yet it runs horrible. Meanwhile, using GameHub to emulate this game through a Windows application actually runs way much better. You get the average of 60 FPS, you know, high FPS, the max you can get is 67 FPS, minimum is 53. As long as you can lock it at 60 FPS, keeping with the same graphics or maybe a little bit higher at 30, you could get an enjoyable experience, especially with how intensive the game sometimes get with the amounts of slimes there are in it. The next game that I'm playing is Subnautica, and everything's set on low. And on the M5, it's somewhat, you know, hard to struggle 40 FPS, but you can capture 30 FPS, have an enjoyable experience. Later, I'll show it playing on GameHub.
The Aurora suffered orbital hull failure.
As you can see, the average FPS is 33 FPS, meanwhile the maximum they can get is 42 FPS. The minimum FPS is also set to at 28.
Your probability of survival has just increased to unlikely, but plausible.
Now I'm playing Subnautica using GameHub. Everything is set to medium, and as you can tell, it's running way much better than the native version of the game. You can set the frame rate to 60 FPS, having a good time playing the game. The average frame rate of 63 FPS, the max reaching at 75 FPS, meanwhile the minimum are 54 FPS.
Failure. Cause unknown. 0 human life signs detected.
Obviously, playing on GameHub is way much better, so if you'd like to play Subnautica, have a full playthrough, I recommend to play using GameHub crossover or any other form that lets you play emulated versions of the Windows games equivalent of whatever game you want to play. In Subnautica Below Zero, everything is set to low settings, and once you get in the game, as you can tell, there's a massive difference for the performance between Below Zero and Subnautica. This is due to Subnautica Below Zero using a newer version of the Unity engine that has optimization for Apple Silicon. Meanwhile, the original game is using an older version of Unity, rendering in OpenGL. This could also be a reason why Slime Ranchers also runs poorly, since it uses Unity as well. On Hollow Knight, I'm playing on normal settings, which should be perfectly good for this game. And it's getting the average of 59 FPS, the max of 64 FPS, meanwhile the minimum is 54 FPS. You could turn on VSync or just cap your 60 FPS to have a solid experience in this game. Next up is Stray. I'm playing everything on medium preset using metal effects on 80%, which should be 1536 by 960p, upscaling to 1920 by 1200p. I'm in the beginning of the part of the game since this is the most hardware demanding area of the game, which the current average is 33 FPS, the max is 35 FPS, and minimum is 27 FPS. Later on the game, the performance should be better, so you could probably be at solid cap your frame rate at 30 or 40 FPS for a solid experience, or lower down your graphics for maybe to reach 60 FPS while using upscaling. For the last game, it's going to be Minecraft. I have it set it up to the 16 chunk render distance, everything else on fancy since it's what the game gave me by opening as default. Minecraft recently added the Vulkan API, but right now I'm using OpenGL so I can use shaders in a little. The average is 109 FPS. The 1% lows are 72 FPS, and the low is 55 FPS. I'm not sure why the FPS is low, despite Minecraft can basically run on anything, and the M5 could do definitely better. Now I'm going to use complementary shaders reimagined to see how much of the performance will be affected. And once I'm in the game, I can see that my performance just basically got halved, which is not bad for 50 FPS, but looking up to the sky, I got 100. And it's running perfectly well. Could probably max out your frame rate to 60 and it'll be fine. I'm gonna do another TNT test to see if it's gonna lower down my performance. And it didn't change anything at all. So should be perfectly fine with the average of 53 FPS, 1% lows, 56 FPS, and the 0.1% lows at 43. Now I'm going to use the Vulkan API to see if my performance would either increase or decrease, and I'm using the same settings as before, everything fancy at 16 chunks with 12 chunk simulation distance. And once I'm in the game, I don't see that my frame rate, my FPS really changed, other than my 1% lows being at 48 FPS and my 0.1% lows at 43, which is a massive difference since my 1% lows on OpenGL was on 72 and my 0.1% lows was at 55 FPS. I mean, I don't know why it's lower. It might depend on hardware, but OpenGL is also, I mean, not OpenGL. Vulkan is also pretty new as an API for Minecraft. TNT doesn't also seem to affect the performance of the game. And the MacBook do video editing. Actually, currently I'm editing this video off the MacBook. It does perfect playback even at 4K videos or 1080p. It doesn't matter which resolution. It will handle it perfectly fine. And it's amazing at editing. Thanks for watching until the end of the video. If you liked my content, like and subscribe. If you didn't, you don't have to like or subscribe or anything. You could, but it would be nice to drop down a comment to see what I could improve on with video editing and other stuff.